Welcome to the Family Skeptical, Parenting Through Nonbelief.
We're a married atheist couple raising two wonderful, strange children. We ask big questions, dissect weird parenting moments, and examine how society ignores or misrepresents families like ours. If you're any stripe of nonbeliever who's involved in raising children, welcome. You are our people.
Our kids have heard all our swears, but yours might not have. So be thoughtful if there are young people listening with you. We made the decision.
Yes, we did. We're going to start speaking to our kids just in Esperanto, and we're going to have to learn the language through context clues.
First, we have to learn it.
You don't know Esperanto?
I don't.
That's okay. All right, we have to have a chat.
Yeah.
In Esperanto.
And I have
using
to learn
just
it.
Context clues.
And then
I'm not saying it's going to be a short process.
No, we had the final meeting with Jaeger School, and they are going to skip a grade.
Yeah.
So I just have no idea. I think it could go really well. I mean, I think the thing that made me feel the best about our decision was when we had spoken with the woman who coordinates this program with their school. From the very beginning, because kids get identified based on state test scores. And then there's a different level of testing that they have to go through to truly qualify for the program.
Yes.
And when they spoke with us about it initially, I asked her, what the likelihood would be that Jaeger wouldn't qualify after that extra level of testing. And she had said that she had no concerns about that at all. But I still was like, I really didn't want to set it up as a definitive if there was the chance that anything might change it.
Yes.
And so, we had very much told Jaeger that it was still very much up in the air until that final conversation. And when you came out and told him that he had qualified to skip the grade, he leapt into your arms with joy.
Yes.
And so that's really the biggest thing to me. It's just from the instant it was brought up, it was clear in his face that he really wanted this.
Yes.
And I just feel like we have to honor that.
Yes.
So it's going to be a very interesting start to the school year next year.
Yes.
And the good thing is, even though he missed all, obviously for his grade, they don't do any sort of, if he had stayed through fifth at his current school, during fifth grade, they do all sorts of orientations to get the kids ready for the middle school. But he had actually gone to all of those.
Yes, correct.
With Reader. So on that level, I'm happy because I don't feel like he really missed out on any of that. And he's in as good a place as he could be for all of that. There's another, before the school year starts, there's a chance to go and tour and, learn to work your locker and all of that stuff.
Yes.
So he'll be able to do that. But it's done. We went to a little performance that his grade did at their school assembly. And I was just looking at all the fifth graders. I was trying to intuit the feel of the class to see if I felt good about that being the next group of kids that he would be with. I don't know if you had any of that sense when we were there.
I think that you may be subjecting yourself to more anxiety about this than you probably should. Because I think that your worry about whether or not Jaeger has a positive experience might be rubbing off onto any potentially perceived let's say, negative behavior or more mature behavior or not necessarily open and welcoming behavior you think you see with the kids who are currently in the 5th grade. So this is my concern, is that you're subjecting yourself to undue stress about this, and that we should let those kids reveal themselves when they meet Jaeger instead of worrying about what might happen.
You're probably right. I mean, I just met with a woman I know in the community today, and she's a teacher, and we were talking about it. And I did sort of like have a moment, because she was talking about to like keep an eye out, because 6th graders are very different than 5th graders and are kind of thinking about different things. And I did have a moment where I sort of felt happy again about our decision to very strategically show the kids some media that other parents might feel is like a little bit more mature in a way where we can kind of really talk about it. Because you know, kids are very different, but I also don't feel like.
Well, what was her list of specific concerns about, like, watch out for the 6th graders because the 6th graders do?
She didn't get super specific.
Okay.
I think it was more, I don't know, but it's like.
Like, was her kid bullied? Like, is that where this is coming from? Okay.
So.
In the district or at a private school?
Different district.
Got it.
But, you know, I think it's like, I mean, it's just kids becoming teenagers, right?
Right.
So, but, you know, I don't think there's any sort of like.
I'm not defending middle school. I'm just wondering what her motivation is to say something so vague and negative.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but I think like, I don't think Jaeger's going to be freaked out by a sex joke. I don't think, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I just think.
I mean, Jaeger makes some sex jokes already.
Yes.
So.
For sure.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Whatever that says about our parenting.
I mean, you know, we're currently reading the Saga comics. And if you haven't read Saga as a series, you absolutely should, because it's like one of the best things ever. It is definitely has some like graphic moments, but I think it's fine. I think we've exposed him. I mean, just like on that level of stuff, I feel really good about the fact that we've exposed him to stuff in a way where we can discuss what we care about discussing.
Yes.
But he's not going to feel, you know, I don't think he's going to feel like out of place or like he's, you know, he might find some stuff, frankly, I think like childish. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be like super shocked by anything. But we'll see. I'm sure I'll be nervous all over again at the beginning of the school year.
I don't anticipate you not being nervous through the summer.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can compartmentalize sometimes. Really? Yeah.
Okay. Let me know when that happens.
I think you underestimate how bad my anxiety could be if I didn't compartmentalize.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Fuck.
And how are you feeling about it all?
Fine.
Okay.
They're, you know, kids are going to be kids, and, you know, 6th graders are going to be 6th graders, whether or not Jaeger is himself a 6th grader, right? Like, the concerns that we have about 6th graders being 6th graders don't go away when the kid is older. Kids will still be amazing or shitty. And so I don't see the point in sort of like front-loading anxiety when we have a lot of other things to think about right now.
Yeah. Okay, so there's something I want to talk about. And I don't think we've discussed it before. but maybe I'm blocking things out. So 2 things happened right together, which made me think of this. So on Data Over Dogma, the podcast, they had on Jeremy Steele, who just wrote a book called Rituals for Heretics.
Okay.
And in it, he takes kind of like exclusively religious rituals from all sorts of different traditions and then breaks down how one could do them on like a secular basis and talks about the psychological like benefits that they give and kind of what to think about, you know, incorporating that into your own life.
Okay.
And then I am currently taking a course with the Institute for Secular Leadership. And
Which is so cool that you're doing that.
If anybody listening runs any kind of secular group, even if it's very small, I would highly recommend looking into them. It's led by Daryl Ray, who's one of the leaders of Recovering from Religion. He has a ton of experience. It's very interesting. And they're sort of trying to build a cohort of secular leaders who can look to each other for support. So can't recommend it more highly. In the last class that I was in, they were talking about some of the challenges in dealing with secular people and some of the like stereotypes that people bring to dealing with secular groups. And for the most part, I think because like I grew up more or less secular, I don't have a lot of the stereotypes that people might have when they've like deconverted or I don't know. I certainly didn't resonate with a lot of them, but I got kind of fascinated with one because they talked about how some secular people can really not like anything that sort of feels like religious ritual, because that can be difficult if you've had negative experiences with it. And I was like, oh, I think ritual is like really important. I don't have any issue with that. But then I was like, wait, do I? Because, you know, when I hear somebody like Jeremy Steele, when he was talking about rituals for heretics, and way back in our like first episodes, we talked about this book, Relax, It's Just God.
Yes.
Yeah. I forget the exact title. I'll post it. I think it's like Relax, It's Just God. And in the chapter that she does about like why it's good to be an atheist, the first thing she mentions is like, you can still pray if you're an atheist. And both hearing this interview recently and that, I'm like, I love ritual. And I kind of get this argument that like religions have had hundreds of years to sort of like find the rituals that resonate with people. But on the other hand, I'm like, what? I do get sort of pissed off when like the only recommendation is to just like adapt religious rituals, but somehow make them a secular way. I feel like ritual is profoundly important, but I think there are a lot of ways to do it that actually don't play off religion. And I am wondering, and I always wonder why we don't spend more time talking about like what could resonate that is truly separate from religious traditions. Sure, yeah. Instead of just trying to figure out like how we can do religious traditions in a cool way.
Yeah.
Do you have, does any of that hit you any way or another?
We've talked about this in the past where we decry the secular community's general lack of like cohesiveness when it comes to setting up, new community concepts for people who deconstruct or just are non-religious. But also we've talked about how it's not necessarily the secular community, like capital S, capital C's job to do that, because you can find community in all sorts of places. And for most secular folks, they're not finding community in like secular groups. They're finding communities in in, activities and groups around just like activities.
Yeah.
Right? Or like identities. And it has nothing to do with being secular. It just happens to not be religious in nature. So I don't know, like I've been thinking about this more and more recently, like what the world should look like. And I truly think that the best way forward is kind of through, like, we look for activities that make us happy, that have a community around them.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we have the access to the community and the community is something that we desire, then it's there for us. But not everybody needs that. So I don't know if community should be the onus of non-religious groups as much as just like providing activities that are fun and rewarding, right? Like, I don't know. I just find fault now with my previous position, which was more or less, we need to do a thing as secular community, because I don't know how reasonable that is, how reasonable of a goal that is. Because what is a secular community? Like, it is so broad and disparate and like full of people who just disagree with each other because they don't need to agree with each other. They're just different groups doing different things that just happen to not be religious. So what I think should be in its place is guidance toward just finding the things that give you joy and some sort of psychological reward. Like, your career homecoming, helping people find their quote unquote calling, the thing that they should be doing, right? So to make them feel like full human beings. That's more what I'm envisioning now, is that, once you find that thing that makes you a quote unquote complete human being, if there is a community attached to it, great. But if doing that thing is what makes you complete, then as a better realized version of yourself, every interaction you have out in the world with other people, whether you're seeking community or not, is going to be richer and more fulfilling for the other people, right? You're going to be a better representation of yourself. That's going to lead you to having better, more fulfilling interactions from the other person's perspective, because you're going to be somebody who enriches their life in some way, because you have more self-knowledge. You understand justice better, because you in understanding yourself better, you can treat other people better. So I think maybe this, like anybody who has anything close to like a hair on fire, we need to have a community that matches, religious communities. Otherwise, people aren't going to deconstruct. I think it's more that we just need to encourage people to, in deconstruction, not again look for some sort of like external purpose, but like look inward and find what it is they're supposed to be doing, and have the community just organically form based on this activity that gives them the purpose that they give themselves, because they are now an end unto themselves instead of a means for a god or a religious organization to have more validity. I don't know if that makes sense. I can try to restate it if you want.
I hear you. That's less about ritual and more about community. But I think
I sort of see them hand in hand.
No, I know.
Like the ritual is there to make the community cohesive and to convince the person repeatedly convince the individual that what they're doing is right in being a part of the community. Like the ritual can be, I guess the ritual could be by yourself, but the Bible, if we're gonna strip it down to like Christianity for a second, talks about wherever there are two of you, there I am also, right? Like a church is just any congregation is a church, right?
So,
in a sense.
Oh, Okay. I am so glad you brought all of that up.
Okay.
Because I think
Now I'm afraid.
it clarifies exactly why this bothers me.
Okay.
Because religious
I
traditions...
totally autista rambled myself into success, didn't I?
You absolutely did.
Woohoo! Okay, yeah.
Religious traditions are built as community practices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Burial, marriage, right, justice. There are a lot of different ways that they've been used over time, but for sure, yes, they're social cohesion units.
And every time people talk about turning those kind of traditions secular,
Mm-hmm.
since there aren't a lot of secular communities,
Mm-hmm.
it's talking about doing them privately.
Sure.
And so I feel like that misses something.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're talking about how can we find ways to meet these needs for a secular community
Mm-hmm.
that religion has been meeting, you're now acting like the ritual is somehow divisible from the sum of its parts.
Okay.
And capable of having the same sort of meaning when you separate it from the community it was part of, and expect people to sort of carry these on privately. And I think when you are looking at something so different, where I feel like, particularly in the framework of families, like secular families, what most people are doing is really making just family unit traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. I mean, things like Sabbath dinners and, it's kind of like it's a way to invite people together
Mm-hmm.
and to all have the same framework to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're just doing it for yourselves,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like there's more creativity that can come in. The reason it's good to have standardized things is when everybody is doing them, then you feel connected. But in secular groups, we're not going to be doing them all together. So, those kind of things might make a lot more sense in something like Sunday Assembly or Oasis, where people are coming together and trying to form sort of like a secular group.
Yeah, which are valid, and some people really need them.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it sound like I don't see the point in those groups existing, but those groups as the only means of sort of saving folks from feeling desolate after leaving religion was my concern. But anyway, sorry, keep going.
But you could be really into Renaissance fairs. And
big community there.
Your tradition could be
hard to do a Renaissance fair without other people.
Yeah,
you look
exactly.
kind of like an insane person.
You look like an insane person anyway.
How does that? I know, but how would that work? Being a one-person Ren fair.
But no, but if you have a big group of people that you go with, the tradition could be working together to make your costumes each year.
Like the folks who go in Star Trek outfits, they're on an away mission and some parallel planet or whatever.
No, exactly. I was thinking about Star Trek. I'm sure, there are tons of Trekkies that get together.
Oh, you think?
And yeah.
You think that's something they do?
I haven't done that, but I'm sure there are
we should. The kids would love that.
I know. I would love to. But I'm sure there are tons of traditions around that are just totally different, but incredibly meaningful. And if, if knitting is your thing, there's probably a whole knitting circle thing that is beautiful and wonderful. And so I think what you said is actually perfect, because I think if group is what you need, then the group will have traditions, because there actually are a lot of groups that are non-religious that are doing wonderful things. And if it's personal, I just think we can be more creative. So to go back a little bit, we've talked about Christmas, which I actually don't see as a religious thing, because we don't do any of the religious parts of Christmas. We totally do the cultural parts. But Christmas aside and all the complexity of that, are there any religious traditions that you really liked and you feel could be useful and made in a secular context?
I mean, like we're talking about like not holidays, because obviously I'm going to start with like, solstices or solstices. A winter festival of lights is already secular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So setting that aside, we're talking about like weekly, like churchy or, temple-ish traditions, right? Okay. I think gathering together, I think 1, congregation, 2, giving thanks for things that have gone right for you, 3, apologizing for wrongs you've done to other people, and 4, asking for help from your community. I think if you do those things on a weekly basis, then you can have your religious experience, but it's going to actually be more actionable because you're not asking for forgiveness from a God and you're apologizing to the people who have actually been hurt, right? And you're expressing actual humility to the people that actually exist.
Yeah. No, it's a big framework that really works for me. I was trying to think, I do almost no traditions. I do and I was thinking, like the only thing I do on my own because I want to is apples and honey for the new year, which is a Jewish tradition.
Sure.
And because it's delicious, apples are a little sour, honey is a little sweet. I think that's a perfect metaphor for life. It's nice, it's simple. It's kind of the only thing. But then I was sitting in this class and I was like, how hard would it be to come up with other traditions? So I just started writing stuff down. So I'm going to say a few, and then I'm wondering if there are any traditions that you can think of that would be like fun to incorporate as a family. Okay?
Okay. Bring them.
I was thinking, so this is not mine, but it made me think of something. So the Karen Feeding podcast, which is a Slate podcast, it's been around forever. The group of hosts right now is so lovely because they are like truly friends. And there's something so sweet about hearing these people who clearly adore each other, talk to each other each week. But one of the hosts, Lucy, I don't think I'm messing that up. She's talked a lot about her family has a tradition of the after dinner fart walk. So they live in Miami.
After dinner fart walk.
They're in Miami. It's always warm. You can go out after dinner.
And just fart?
Yeah, and get your farts out after dinner on a short little walk around the neighborhood.
Okay.
But I think that's
great.
That's great.
I have no complaint about that. That's amazing.
So like one thing we do, though not enough, I really love cemeteries. And when cemeteries were first designed, they are beautiful because people actually use them as parks. Like that's where that tradition comes from. Cemeteries are set up beautifully with lakes and paths because people used to go and hang in the cemetery like a park. And I love going to cemeteries. And I think treating death as something like very natural and part of life is important to me. So like I would love to see people bring back the cemetery walk, the cemetery picnic. These are spaces, even in some urban environments where there's not a lot of other green space, sometimes there are cemeteries, and like to make cemeteries part of life again, I think would be really cool.
Okay.
I think we just recently talked about how Jaeger had a birthday.
Sure.
And I started, it actually started, because I forget if it was Rita or Jaeger, but there was one of their birthdays where I had to leave early for work. So I knew I wasn't going to see them. And so while they were sleeping, I put a note on the inside of their door with just like a little thing about how amazing they are and all the things I've noticed about them in the last year.
And now it's a tradition.
And I totally forgot for Jaeger this year because I was having a complete nervous breakdown. But
yeah.
But I forgot once for Reader. I've not forgotten once for Jaeger. But every year I try to do it and I just stick it up. And it's like, it's often very similar, but, Like for Reader, I mentioned how amazing their sense of color is, and just seeing them like, their sort of artistic vision develop. For Jaeger, I talked about, just like his amazing sense of style and like giving James Bond a run for his money in his like adorable suits. So just kind of whatever their vibe is. It's just like, I see you, you're amazing.
Here's a compliment.
Here's a compliment. You brought up your career homecoming.
Yeah.
And you mentioned in sort of your like, you didn't do a trinity, you did a quad of, sort of important rituals.
Sure, yes.
And I was thinking about praying and sort of being thankful. And I know I brought this up before, but for me as a person, that kind of, I have a little bit more of an issue with that kind of gratitude process.
Sure.
Because I feel weird giving thanks because I feel very aware of the fact that that a lot of what happens in my life, I don't deserve. And a lot of people don't get the good things we have for no reason of worthiness or anything else, right?
Sure.
So I always feel a little bit of push and pull with thankfulness because I am so thankful, but there's just sort of like, it always reminds me of how unfair it is.
Yeah.
That we're able to have these things that other people aren't.
Sure.
And so one thing that I learned from Your Career Homecoming, which she talks about, is just appreciating like beautiful moments in your day.
Sure.
And so for me, like my version of that, I try to write down just like one beautiful moment from the day.
And I love that it's in a journal, that you do it for the day of the year, so you can go back to that day in previous years and see what was happening. It is so cool.
It's called One Line a Day, and it's 5 years. So each day you can look back on what you wrote the years before, and that can be really amazing.
Yeah, I love you sharing them with me when you find a good one. You're like, this time 2 years ago, this was happening. I'm like, oh, right, yeah.
And you could use it like a diary, but I use it more as just like a moment I want to remember. And I think what I like about that is everybody can have those. They really are universal. A beautiful sunset, that's very trite, but like it's really open to everybody. And to just notice something beautiful in the world, that is truly universal and is accessible. And so I don't feel like I'm thanking the world for the inequality in it that is currently benefiting me.
Okay.
I am appreciating that I get to be in a world that does have amazing stuff happening.
Yeah. You can also like you don't have to be thankful just for the things you have. You could be thankful for the opportunity to help people. It doesn't need to be, oh, I'm grateful for this thing I received. It could be like, I loved this opportunity to meet this person when I was out and I was able to help them, do this thing because it reminded me like whatever. Because I've talked about this, I think, in 2 past episodes, maybe 3, toward the end of The West Wing. One of the best characters in the show, C.J. Craig, is as she's exiting the White House and having to transition to a new chapter in her life, gets approached by a billionaire who's like, I have to give money away or it'll feel insincere. And she's like, roads in Africa, it's not sexy, but it'll save lives and help like enrich generations.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about it from like his perspective, and like I have this opportunity. I can't just be grateful for having this pile of gold. Like the only value that it has is when I share it with other people. We do things to like our ability, and as our abilities increase over time, we'll be able to do more of that, and it's going to feel good. And I think what we need to remember is that a person can always do more, but don't discount, don't discredit what you do. I said do.
And look, this is totally framing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you could list the exact same things in both practices.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just talking about something that has helped me to make it really resonate.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you found that. I just want you to not like be like down on yourself for something that you can't control, while also not fully recognizing the things that you do that are awesome and community oriented.
Yeah.
You know, and I said do again. Oh man.
So I have a much longer list, but those are some things that occurred to me. Are there any traditions that we do, or I did it. I just did it. Or that you can come up with that are things that you would like to think about?
I mean, things that we specifically participate in, I don't know. I think that like on a daily basis, we talk about gratitude with each other and with the kids. I express it in my journal. I don't personally feel like I need to do that part of things in a group setting. But I think that we could also do well to do more in-person volunteer work in some capacity. I think that would make us feel better about things. And I think that once the Reno project is up and running,
we're renovating our house. We're going to be renovating our house soon.
I feel like that we will both have more bandwidth to think about other things, right? Or to think about things that are bothering us in a more robust way. So
it's very minor, but I thought we could go and volunteer at cat adoptions.
That, like, just getting out of the house, talking to the people, and helping people or animals that need help. I think that would make us all feel like much better about what we're doing, the value of our existences, feeling like we are using our good fortune well. You know, like, not like we should seek to alleviate guilt, but the fact is that if we feel guilt because we feel like we should be out in the community doing more to help more people, then that's not like, I don't know, that's not like a bad thing to necessarily feel bad about. Yeah. That's like righteousness in a sense, right? Like you're disgruntled with the situation for a really positive reason. So I don't know, maybe that's something that we should just like circle back to in a week or two once things get going and we can see things are on a bit of an autopilot, and let us sort of consider what we can do with our weekends, you know, through the course of the summer.
No, volunteer work is a great suggestion.
So we'll think about that. We'll circle back. We'll tell people about what we decide on in future recordings. But I think that animal adoption in general would be, I don't know, like hella fun.
And just, the kids are both at this point so good with animals.
Yeah.
That I feel like could actually be helpful. I mean, one of the issues always with volunteering with kids is it can just be challenging.
You're juggling, like what you can do with the kid, like what you can trust them to do.
You don't want to go into a situation where you're actually not helping because, like,
oh no, I wouldn't want.
Your kids have to be managed. You know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't want to be that family. I would want them to come in. Everybody's ready to go. You roll up your sleeves. You help clean up poops. You help. Talk to people, hand out flyers, stay where you are when they expect you to stay where you are, doing the job that you're supposed to be doing, like just to be mature enough to handle it. And I think the kids are both able to do that. I think that they also have heard us talk about, their good fortune with them many times in, it's a pretty regular conversation that I circle back to with them. I don't know about you, but I bring it back a lot because it's a responsibility, again, West Wing, it's a responsibility. And so the more that they frame it as a responsibility, the more that as they gain more resources over time. They will not just, look inward. They'll be able to look outward.
Yeah.
Speaking of looking inward, we have a young guest for this episode.
Yeah. And this is, I'm not forcing this. Jaeger
a very introspective guest.
Jaeger said they wanted to come on the podcast again. So we're going to check in. Hey, Jaeger.
Hello.
So you said you wanted to be on the podcast another time.
Yeah.
Was there anything you specifically wanted to talk about?
No, not really.
Okay. I have 2 questions for you then. We just told everybody about the fact that you're going to be skipping 5th grade.
Yes.
I'm wondering, one thing I mentioned is from like the first time we mentioned it to you, your eyes really lit up at the idea of skipping the whole grade. So I was wondering, could you mention, like, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but what are some of the reasons that was such an exciting idea to you?
Well, I mean, it's like skipping a grade. It's like a really big, important thing. And it's like not everybody gets to do it. Actually, a very small number of people get to do it.
So part of it was that it kind of felt special?
Yeah, a little bit.
And what were some of the things that you were excited about getting to go to 6th grade?
I mean, better food, and I hate walking in lines. So being able to like walk by myself, which I should have been allowed to do since 2nd grade. Also better food, because the food at the school I'm currently going to is not the best.
Yeah, and the middle school, there are a lot more choices too.
Yeah.
From what you've seen from Reader's 6th grade experience, are there any sort of classes or activities you're looking forward to?
The D&D club, and I think they have a robotics thing, like the engineering class.
Yeah. I don't know if it starts in 6, but they eventually definitely... I know Reader in their science class got to design a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely has an element of engineering to it.
Yeah.
I remember doing that. We did that. I really liked physics when I was in school. And one of the physics experiments I really liked is you could sort of perfectly calculate. I think we were launching marbles, but like you can calculate how far a marble is going to go. And I really like that. Okay, I have another question for you. I've been thinking about this because, we're going to be leaving your current grade school. So I was sort of like thinking back on your experience. Do you remember last year where there was the kid who during lunch would stand up and ask everybody to indicate whether or not they loved God?
No.
You don't remember this? Stand up if you love God?
I feel like that's more at recess, and it didn't happen all the time.
No, it didn't. It was at recess, not at lunch?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was at recess.
So at the time, it was close to the end of the school year, and we gave you a few suggestions, but we didn't end up really talking to anybody at the school about it. Do you think we should have made a bigger deal about it and talked to the school?
No.
No? You think it was okay to kind of let it go?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's just stand up and screaming, stand up if you love God.
But I think at the time you felt a little bit uncomfortable about being one of the only kids not to stand up.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have felt different about it if it happened this year?
Probably.
How so?
I just wouldn't really care.
Okay. Why do you think it would be different this year? Why do you think you care less this year?
But I'm not more mature now, so I just don't really care as much.
You just had a birthday.
Yes.
You're 10 now.
See.
That's amazing. What is your favorite thing that we've watched or read in the last year? Or something you really, really like, if you can't come up with a favorite?
like together or like something I've read or...
Oh, either.
Okay. I mean, I really like the beginning after the end books.
Right. So that is a manga series that you and
Reader
discovered. What do you like so much about it?
I mean, it has swords and magic, which is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like a little, not that much, but a little artificery, which is like making like materials and weapons and armor using magic, but also not just using magic, using like engineering and stuff like that also. But as artificery, it also has dragons and knights and yeah.
That sounds really cool. Do you have a favorite character in it?
Cynthia, I forgot the name. Cynthia is the baby dragon that the main character, Arthur, finds, and it's really cute.
Is there anything beyond being cute that makes it your favorite?
I mean, it's really cool, and it's like an ancient dragon.
That's pretty good. Okay, thank you, kiddo. I've loved having you on. Do you need me to come in to make sure everything's put away carefully?
Yes.
Okay, hang on.
I have no idea where any of the stuff goes.
Okay, hang on. Okay, so I wanted to jump in from the future. And I was thinking about recording this on my own, but then I thought we should just do it together. But
Okay.
I edited the episode, and I realized that when we were talking about gratitude, I felt like you thought I felt guilty with certain types of gratitude.
Okay.
And after editing it, I realized that's not what it is.
Okay.
Because I think what bothers me about like the kind of classic areas of gratitude, like, you know, health, having a roof over our heads, you know, all those kind of things.
Sure.
I think they're super important. And I think it's really good to keep them in mind so you don't become an asshole and forget the fact that there are lots of people in the world existing without those things and trying to get by. So there's a huge place for that. But they don't make me feel better about things. And I think it's because like we all know those things. And what I like about the gratitude I was mentioning is that it's like it like requires you to have an artistic eye throughout the day. Like it makes me feel more tuned in to be like looking for the little things. And so in what we already recorded, I was like, a sunset. But I just had to read something I actually wrote down to give a better sense of like the stuff I'm writing down during the day. So This is from May 19th, 2025. And my entry for that day was, Jaeger was using slang for sperm, but got it all wrong. He called it splum and spleem. Which is like so funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's so perfect. So I had to read that because it's, I don't know. I like it because it's easy to just kind of let the day pass you by. And I like that moment to like really think about the things I experienced, not in a way of like, what's most important? But just in a way of being like open and aware that I think is hard to do sometimes.
Sure.
And like that makes me feel more fulfilled and connected to the world in a way that like is the fact that we like have a beautiful home and an amazing community to be in. In the bigger sense, does that have a much larger impact on our life? Yes, but like this is the moment that brought me joy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Take it where you can get it.
Yeah, exactly. So I just had to put that out there because I'm like, I have written down sunsets, but like this is much more the general tone of my day-to-day moments. And really, splum and spleam, like that should be slang for sperm, right?
Splum. Splum. It's great. It's great. It's like onomatopoetic, right? It's splum. But it's like gelatinous hitting the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. We need to thank Jonathan Zolbin and First Frame Music for the music for this podcast.
And that wraps up this episode of The Family Skeptical, where nothing is sacred except for our kids.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah?
But in the last record, we were actually synced.
Oh, wow.
Except for our kids. I think there's like a lag.
Muy simpático.
Also just me being bad at it.
Muy simpático.
But I always have to cut it so that we're synced.
Molto pericoloso, signorina.
And last week was the first time I did.
Pericoloso. Yeah, so we got synced. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to start smelling some boots.